I'm very happy to be with you here for the safeguarding webinar organized specifically for the rhythmic gymnastic coaches. And by this, I would like to thank my colleague Donatella for doing this, because she's the president of Safeguarding Commission, and president, of course, all you know her for artistic gymnastics, women artistic gymnastics. And she took the time with her busy schedule to prepare something specifically for rhythmic gymnastics. So thank you so much, dear Donna, for your support for us. It's important for our discipline, because I believe we need to receive the proper education, the proper knowledge, all of us, not only the coaches, because not it to be flagged before we receive the education. And this is why I asked Donna to help us now with safeguarding, with all the issues we are hearing here and there. It's important we receive the information, what is right for us and what is wrong to do, and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So, and this is the main issue. We don't want it to be long, because we know that you have a busy schedule and short, but just an introduction of what is it. So first, I would like to thank the President and the Secretary General for approving this webinar that was not on the event schedules. It was a requested webinar from me to the President of Safeguarding, to the Secretary General. So thank you so much for approving it. And I would also like to thank all her commission, because they worked so hard to prepare us this presentations. And I will first start by giving you the welcome speech from President Watanabe.
Hello everyone. Gymnastics had dark chapter of harassment in our history. But now, gymnastics is a role model in safeguarding, because gymnastics is the king of the sports.
Yes, thank you, President. We appreciate it. And now we go with Donna to her presentation for the safeguarding. And I already introduced Donna for you, and she will give us a small presentation about safeguarding.
Welcome everybody. It's a great pleasure to meet you. I'm Donatella Sacchi. I'm the head, the chair of the Safeguarding Commission inside the FIG. And we are very happy to present you this webinar before your World Championships. Safeguarding is for all stakeholders involved in gymnastics. Very often we speak about gymnasts because they are the most fragile persons. They start training at the very early age, and this is the reason we have to care about them. So one of our duty as coaches is not only to be, from the technical point of view, very good coaches, but is also to be educator. Is a big responsibility that we have in front of them. This webinar would like to be informative about the safeguarding FIG action throughout this period of time. There is no wrong thing, nothing wrong in medals. There is nothing wrong in pushing the gymnast to improve every day their performances. You have also to take into consideration that everything must be in a very good environment for the gymnast, but also for the coaches, because you also have to feel better in your work. So the main question you have to ask yourself is how I can push my gymnast to the best, not only from the technical point of view, but also helping them to grow up as persons. Youth protection have always been important, and also women protection. FIG pays big attention to it. This is the reason we would like to provide a safe environment where all participants can interact healthily, to have a sport free from harm and from inappropriate behavior or misconduct of any kind. We want our athletes, when they finish the career, they go in a family life, they grow up to have wonderful memories about their period in gymnastics. In 2018, the FIG Congress approved a new safeguarding policy, creating some commission, some bodies to support all stakeholders in gymnastics. I repeat, it's for everybody. We have a section dedicated to education and prevention, and in this part we have the FIG Safeguarding Commission. We have the Safeguarding Working Group, we will see a little bit later in details, and the FIG Safeguarding Unit. But we have also the Gymnastic Ethics Foundation, where it's possible to report cases when occurred. The FIG Safeguarding Commission has been named by the President. We have, you can see in the photo, people from different countries. We have Canada, USA, Great Britain, we have Australia, Croatia, and Romania. Most of them already face problems in safeguarding, and they were already active in their education session and prevention. You have to know anyway that the main goal is education and prevention, but for any proposal is necessary to have the approval of the FIG Executive Committee. Then, even before, has been created the FIG Safeguarding Working Group. Every active or former gymnast, any discipline, could take part in this working group to better understand the needs of the gymnast and to promote the safeguarding policy. We had many meetings with them, and it was very important to understand the voice of the athletes, their request to work for a better future for them. The operational part in FIG actually is the safeguarding unit. So for anything we need coordination and support in all FIG activities, please refer to this unit, where you can find also information if you need something about request. So it's really a helpful unit. Gymnastic Ethics Foundation is an independent body. Even the office is in a different building, not to be too much connected with the Gymnastic Federation. Has been created in 2018 and is a board office where you can report cases, everybody. So not only the gymnast, also coaches or also other stakeholders involved in the federation, in the competition, can report cases if needed. And this Ethic Foundation receive any report confidentially about non-accidental violence, harassment, and or abuses. To set commitments for all participants in gymnastics, the working group collaborated to a new code of conduct. You can see the QR code, you can scan, and you have directly access to the code of conduct that is in place in FIG. At each competition, you must know that now is compulsory the presence of a safeguarding officer, to whom everybody can refer if needed. And I'm sure you already saw this person around every competition, World Cup, World Championship. You will have also one in Valencia. This is one of the best things we could do at the beginning of this journey. So the FIG launched an awareness campaign, the famous now 10 Golden Rules, available in 34 languages. you can find the posters at every competition. Again, if you scan the QR code, you will go directly to the site where you can ask to receive the poster for free. Then you can print and put in your gyms, enjoy with the kids because it's a funny way to have important rules. And we encourage you to make photos with the gymnasts funny and publish in TikTok, Instagram, and we would like now to show you the clip about the 10 golden rules, which is more explicative than just me speaking about it. What in education now? What will come next? Now, currently, we are working in collaboration to provide a safeguarding certificate for all coaches. So probably by the end of the first week of August, in the education platform, there will be some lectures. Actually, we don't want to take much time from your training time, so will be quite short, 1 hour and a half maximum, and you can follow each topics each day, not all at the same time, but what is important, to come to FIG competition, all the coaches, all disciplines, must attend the safeguarding lesson and pass a test. Is the same principle as WADA, approximately, because without this certificate, you will not have an updating in your profile, and could be a problem to be registered as a coach at the international FIG competition. This is very important, and we think that these lessons will be very useful to improve your knowledge, because you are very good as coaches, technically perfect, and it's important also to add something else to your profile, which is a plus in your personal culture. I hope this is enough for you to explain. We don't want to scare you, but we want your collaboration, because all together we can create a better future, not only for the gymnasts, for us, for our community, and to present ourselves to the entire world as the best sport. Thank you very much.
I loved the presentation, and it was very useful that you started to inform them about the coach's license and that there will be an exam. Otherwise, they will not be able to join the international tournaments without taking this online. So it is an online, very short, as I understood, from the office. but to have the license as a coach starting from next January. You will not be able to be there except passing this lecture. It's like the WADA, as I understood, just very short presentations, and after each presentation you have few questions. So now we go to another presentation from my colleague in executive, Mrs. Leung, and she's also a member of the Safeguarding Commission and the president of the USA Gymnastics Federation. So she has the experience from the USA Gymnastics Federation, and I think she's going to give us a very good insight.
So this presentation will cover an overview of inappropriate conduct, how to identify it, and we'll also review some examples of it. We'll begin with the importance of fostering a safe environment. Every athlete has the right to train and compete safely, regardless of level and whether they are learning a basic gymnastics skill or representing their country on the international stage. That is why it is important for gymnastics professionals to foster a coaching environment that is actively working to prevent inappropriate behaviors that can lead to misconduct and abuse. And this happens due to an existing power imbalance. Every athlete has the right to train and compete safely, regardless of level and whether they are learning a basic gymnastics skill or representing their country on the international stage. That is why it is important for gymnastics professionals to foster a coaching environment that is actively working to prevent inappropriate behaviors that can lead to misconduct and abuse. And this happens due to an existing power imbalance. USA Gymnastics has identified 3 primary forms of abuse and misconduct: sexual, physical, and emotional misconduct. During this presentation, we'll provide an overview of each form and examples of inappropriate behaviors that may lead to abuse. Our belief is understanding such behaviors will help prevent abuse and help provide athletes a safer and healthier environment. Now let's first address power imbalance and control. Coaches should and need to recognize and respect that they innately possess a strong and unequal power over their athletes. Misuse of this power can lead to sexual, physical, or emotional abuse. Some examples of power misuse are deciding who will or will not be part of the team based on favoritism or choosing athletes they can control, discouraging medical or mental health treatment, requiring excessive exercise for the purpose of punishment, creating a culture of fear that discourages athletes from voicing concerns about their health and safety. Moving on to emotional abuse and misconduct. Emotional misconduct is a form of abuse where tactics of intimidation, humiliation, and verbal abuse are used to gain control of another person. The behavior is usually prolonged and repeated and occurs when a power imbalance exists, such as between the coach and athlete. Some examples of that type of abuse are a pattern of verbal abuse, such as name-calling, yelling, and repeated personal attacks. Secrets that are encouraged, so saying things like, "What happens here stays here. If you tell your parents, you could be off the team." Making the athlete feel that they are to blame or at fault, so saying things like, "It's your fault because you don't want to win enough." Or, "You misunderstood what I said. I would never say that." Or even, "It was a joke and you can't take a joke." Physical misconduct. That includes any action or behavior that causes or reasonably threatens to cause physical harm to another person. Some examples of physical misconduct are hitting, pushing, or striking of any kind, choking, shoving, or any action that places hands on the athlete for the intent to frighten or harm them, forcing an athlete to hold a painful stance that serves no purpose of training, withholding hydration, nutrition, food, or sleep, conditioning against the medical advice of a doctor when an athlete is injured or when the athlete exhibits signs of physical illness, or forcing an athlete to train when exhibiting physical reactions of sickness or injury, shaking or crying. And lastly, sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct is a type of misconduct that uses power, control, or intimidation to harm another for the purposes of sexual gratification or violence. This includes any sexual conduct with a minor or inappropriate conduct of a sexual nature. Some examples of that include touching, slapping, or otherwise contacting the buttocks or genitals, excessively touching or hugging, making unsolicited sexual advances, using sexually degrading words to describe an individual or an individual's body, telling inappropriate or sexual related jokes, retaliating against an athlete who refuses sexual advances, offering rewards such as team promotions in exchange for sexual favors, or giving inappropriate gifts such as lingerie or jewelry for the purposes of grooming. Please note that sexual nature of a minor by someone known to the child is often preceded by grooming behaviors. Grooming occurs when someone intentionally engages in a series of manipulative behaviors to gain a family's or a child's trust in order to sexually abuse a child. Now, I'm going to explain some ways to support athletes. It's important for you to express care and concern for your athlete's physical and mental health. You can support your athlete's wants and needs for outside of the sport activities such as family time, spiritual services, or school. It's important to listen to your athlete's feedback and confirm what you heard. You should also encourage your athletes to use their voice in matters that impact them and include them in the decision making. And empower your athletes by informing them of their rights to be in a safe and supportive environment. So this is just an overview of identifying inappropriate behaviors and some examples of how we categorize misconduct in the US. There's more in-depth information related to preventing these inappropriate behaviors. I hope you found this helpful, and thanks so much for your time.
Lily, that was an amazing short, summarizes everything. I myself benefited from things I learned, didn't occur to my mind that it could happen, or mentally. So thank you for this insight. All right, now we move to an interesting topic, which we all need. And we thought, me and Donna, that this is very important. A presentation prepared by Mrs. Varvara Magnisali, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, about the sports psychologist. She's a former rhythmic gymnast and world champion and Olympic finalist. So let's go to her presentation and benefit from what she is doing now.
Hello everyone, my name is Varvara Magnisali and I'm here today to talk to you about gymnast mental health and how to identify symptoms of mental distress. Our mental health affects the way we perceive and interpret things, the way we feel, act and think, the way we perceive ourselves, the world around us, how we relate to others and how we cope with different situations. World Health Organization defines mental health as the foundation for the well-being and effective functioning of individuals. It is the ability to think, learn and understand one's emotions and the reactions of others. It's a state of balance within and with the environment. And of course, it is linked with physical health. But why is mental health important for the athlete? First and foremost is a human right to feel happy, safe and healthy in the sport. Moreover, a gymnast with strong mental health is aware of her own abilities and difficulties, so her self-value and self-esteem does not depend on the results of the performance. What is more, strong mental health helps the athlete cope with everyday life stressors in and out of sports. She interprets obstacles as challenges, which can make her mentally tougher, help her perform well regardless of the conditions that she's facing, and of course coaches can properly work with a healthy athlete, physically and mentally, in order to achieve their common goals. Indeed, FIG emphasizes the importance of gymnasts' mental and physical health while prioritizing it above medals and results. Nowadays, it is more than obvious that athletes' mental health matters. There are studies showing that elite athletes are more likely to suffer from some mental disorders compared to the general population, maybe because, except from typical challenges of their age group, they also have to manage additional demands of their sport. Let's check some statistical data. Gymnasts show a much higher rate of disordered eating than other athletes, with levels at between 51 to 62%. 30% of female student athletes report having anxiety. Student athletes are more likely to experience mental health conditions than the general population. 35% of elite athletes suffer from disordered eating, burnout, depression, or anxiety. Only 10% of all college athletes with known mental health conditions seek care from a mental health professional, which reflects the stigma behind mental illness. 13 to 23.2% of adolescents self-harm worldwide, and in 2021, 5 female athletes suicide. So the question is, why do athletes develop mental health issues? Findings suggest that specific personality characteristics like perfectionism can impact gymnast mental health. Perfectionism is a personality trait where the athlete demands excessively high performance with overly critical self-evaluation. Can be encouraged by parents, coaches, or others, and is associated with negative mood, anxiety, anger, or even depressive disorder. Also, the athletic identity, the degree to which an individual views itself according to a specific role. Athletes whose identity is strongly tied with their sport are at high risk for developing mental health issues like depression symptomatology and lower levels of self-esteem, which have also associated with greater risk for depression, anxiety, and social anxiety. Of course, the time demands. Athletes' daily routine is demanding, full of obligations and little or no time for leisure activities and enough resting time. The competitive nature of sport can lead also to unrealistic expectations and increased stress levels. Athletes strive to be always focused, motivated, and on top, which can lead to mental fatigue and burnout. The culture of sports, where winning is the ultimate goal, sometimes even winning at all costs, and athletes cannot be vulnerable as this means they are weak, and mental illness is falsely associated with weakness. Performance success. The pressure to succeed can be overwhelming and can come from coaches, clubs, organizations, parents, fans, and others, or even themselves, and can lead to fear of failure or making mistakes. Gymnasts are usually afraid of disappointing themselves and the others. Of course, the interpersonal issues with coaches or the team. Coach is like a second parent to the gymnast, is the person whom they ask for acceptance, care, understanding, who influences deeply their perception of themselves and their abilities, and therefore a maladaptive relationship and cooperation with a coach can negatively affect their mental health. An injury or return from an injury can also promote feelings of fear, anxiety, anger, isolation, low confidence, low motivation. Those feelings can lead to mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. On the other hand, stress can increase the risk of injury and their ability to rehabilitate from injury. Overtraining without adequate rest and recovery time can result in mood changes, decreased motivation, frequent injuries, and mental health issues, including, again, anxiety and depression. Parents, also a key stressor, through low support, negative or critical feedback, anger, unrealistic expectations, or inappropriate behavior during competition or training. Unexpected life events, like a divorce or death of a loved one, can cause a plethora of difficult feelings and a hard affliction to manage. Harassment and abuse, acts of neglect, physical, sexual, and emotional abuse occurring by coaches, parents, officials, medical staff, and others, which also consist high-risk indicators. On that slide, you can see that 2 to 48% of athletes will experience sexual abuse. 19 to 92 will be subjected to some form of sexual harassment, and the shocking number of 75% of youth athletes reflects emotional abuse during organized sport. Good news! IOC-FIG has developed an educational, preventive and implementing action plan for safe sports in which everyone has access and the ability to report an incident of harassment or abuse. So now let's move to signs and symptoms of possible mental health issues. It's really important for all coaches to be able to detect the signs, the difficulties that gymnasts face in her everyday life, in and out of the gym, and ways to support her as a coach. So, before analyzing symptoms, it's important to know the answer at those 3 questions. Question 1. So, as a coach, am I responsible for mental health issues detection? The answer is yes. You have the responsibility and the capability to detect signs or symptoms that might be connected with a mental illness. You are at the ideal position as you spend so much time with a gymnast. You have considerable power and influence with her, so to increase the likelihood from them to receive timely and effective treatment. And of course, by early detection, you can minimize the effects of the disorder on your athlete's mental health and performance. Second, how can I determine if there is an issue? In general, any changes in athletes' behaviors, feelings, attitude, which remain more than 3 weeks, should not be ignored. Those changes do not necessarily confirm the presence of a mental health issue, but it's definitely something that triggers your gymnast's mentality, so worth attention. Question 3. My athlete has to quit from the sport. Mental illness does not necessarily mean quitting. The athlete can still do it if the mental health specialist gives permission, while she can also take care of herself. So let's start by talking about mood disorders or depression. Risk factors associated with depressive symptoms include genetic predisposition, hypothyroidism, specific life events like death in family, relationship issues with parents or the coach, bullying, abuse or harassment, and athlete sports performance like an injury or overtraining syndrome. Moving on to symptoms, coach can detect low or sad moods, often with crying episodes, irritability, eating and sleeping disturbance, feeling worthless, decrease in energy and activity levels, in concentration and motivation, social withdrawal, unhelpful thinking patterns like there is no point, I'm useless, no one cares, thoughts of death or suicide, and self-harming behaviors or suicide attempts. Impact on performance, as you can imagine, when athlete's mental health is at risk, her performance would probably suffer. In case of depression, you will notice low energy levels, lower motivation, maybe she will express a desire to quit or she will quit, poor concentration, poorer performance in general, and a high risk of injuries. Moving on, next mental health issue, anxiety disorders like generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, etc. Competitive performance anxiety has to do mostly with an athlete's fear around their selection of being part of a team, fear of not performing in the desired manner, or that the situation would be too challenging, harmful, or dangerous. Performance pressure, genetic predisposition, specific life events, sporting career uncertainty, dissatisfaction, an injury, or coming back from it, social judgment, bullying, harassment, or abuse can be great risk factors. About symptoms, feelings of stress and worry, may be normal, especially before competition, but when we talk about anxiety disorder, we will detect changes in behavior, excessive worry or fear, unhelpful thinking patterns like I'll fail, I must win the gold, the coach will be disappointed by me, sleeping or eating disturbance, fear that she's dying or getting crazy, that she's losing control, and physiological signs like pounding heart, shortness of breath, etc. And of course impaired concentration. Again, performance would suffer through low concentration and attention, the fear of trying or risking, of disappointing others. She will express low motivation, low performance, and a risk of injury. Another mental illness, especially in aesthetic sports, is eating disorders and disordered eating. Some athletes and coaches feel that calorie restriction and weight loss can improve sport performance. However, long-term continuation of calorie restriction can lead to low energy levels, great risk of injuries, and a plethora of other health issues. Genetic factors, sociocultural pressures regarding thinness, family issues, transition periods can be great risk factors. Even if gymnast's primary goal is to lose weight, there is a hidden intention to feel she has control over things and the ability to cope with life. Symptoms of a problematic relationship with food are changes in behavior, preoccupation with weight, food or calories, seeming uncomfortable eating around others, withdrawal from usual friends and activities, extreme concern with body size and shape, frequent checking in the mirror, difficulties concentrating, extreme mood swings, sleeping problems, injuries or body pains like stomachaches, headaches. Of course, performance is negatively affected as the gymnast has low energy levels, suffers from muscular pain and have great risk of injuries, expresses lower motivation, feelings of depression and anxiety, and low performance. Now, I'd like to discuss what coaches should do to help. Firstly, create a non-stigmatized environment where help-seeking can be normalized. Athletes, in their effort not to show weaknesses as they worry about what others think about themselves and their abilities, prefer to silently suffer. Stigma is there, and most athletes feel that they are alone and that this situation cannot change. Especially in gymnastics, where athletes are really young and they don't know that there is a solution, a treatment, so they hesitate to talk about it. So, as a coach, talk to her, empathize, sit down with her, listen with an open mind and reassure her that you are there for her. You can fix the problem, it's not your job, so it's important to let her know that she's not alone. So your mission is to understand the situation, not judging, not making your point. Ensure confidentiality and privacy. It's a key point in order the athlete to feel safe to share her concerns. Ask directly if she's thinking of hurting herself or has hurt herself or she's thinking of dying. I know this question is tough, but you have to do it. And if your athlete is hesitating, even if she says no, inform parents and refer them to a mental health specialist. Encourage her to talk and ask for help. Tell her you have some concerns, you care about her, and you'd like to help her seek further assistance. Reassure her that in that way she will feel better eventually, and as a result she will perform better. Of course, inform parents, have an open and honest conversation with them, expressing your concerns, reassure them that you will work together as a team. Refer the athlete to a mental health professional like a psychiatrist, psychologist. Some athletes refuse to visit one. However, if you make a specific referral, it's easier to accept, or if you're willing to take them to him or her. Keep in touch with a mental health professional in order to know how to approach and support the athlete. It's necessary to be informed and educated on gymnast difficulties, and also a great opportunity to reflect on your coaching philosophy and maybe develop more helpful strategies. Remember that it's important to care about your gymnast's well-being as a whole person. Of course, performance and results are important, but in order to help them reach their potential, they have to be healthy first. Proceed to training adjustments, so you minimize stressors that may negatively affect their mental health, for example, the training load, recovery time, or giving a break. And of course, grab the opportunity to inform and educate all athletes, coaches, parents, other staff members of your organization, club, about mental health issues and services. So, to recap, don't forget that athletes are humans too. They have to cope with complex issues like everyone else, so they will experience up and down emotions. They are not immune to the stresses of life. Remember that gymnast health and safety is always the primary consideration. Promote a change in sport culture. Winning at all costs it's not the case. Medals and victories are great, but we can't make it if we're not healthy. Help break the stigma of mental illness as a weakness. In the contrary, vulnerability is a strength, and as long as we realize it and accept it, we will be more open asking for help and support in order to approach the life that we are willing to live. Coach's role is to identify and refer, not to treat, so don't be afraid to make the first move. And of course, we need to lead by example. So talk about your feelings, your vulnerable side of yourself, and this will strengthen your relationship, the trust between you, the intimacy, and the understanding. Thank you for your attention. I'm available to answer your questions by email if there is one. Thank you again.
Thank you, Varvara, so much. This is a big science. For me, it's a lot of information, detailed, a lot of things the athletes have to cope with, and more, a lot for the coach to understand and to get the hints and the flags and the early flags before the problem becomes more bigger for the athlete. But I believe all the coaches here in the Rhythmic are like mothers, and they understand and they feel their gymnasts, so it's easy to point it out to mental health person or specialist as soon as early you detect something. This is very important. The next topic, we will have a presentation about nutrition, is from Dr. Mariela Sirakova, who is a member of the FIG Anti-Doping Medical and Mental Health Commission and specialist in sports medicine. I love this presentation. We did a short one for the junior athletes, and believe it or not, I took some information for myself, what to eat and what not to eat and what to find in which food. So it's not only for the athletes, but also for us and for our beautiful faces. So Dr. Sirakova will give us another insightful information.
Hello, dear gymnast. I'm Mariela Sirakova, member of the FIG Medical Commission, and for me it's the great pleasure to be able to present to you the general principles of a good and healthy diet. I'm sure you know a lot about food, but a refresher and maybe some new things you don't know about food will be helpful for you. Importance of a balanced diet for an athlete. It is the performance, health, growth and development, body composition and recovery. It is a fact that health, beauty and a slim figure are highly dependent on nutrition, and in sport, nutrition is extremely important. General principle of nutrition is the food we eat contain nutrients. Nutrients are substances required by the body to perform its basic functions. They must be obtained from our diet, since the human body does not produce them. They provide energy, contribute to body structure, and regulate chemical process in the body. There are 6 classes of nutrients required for the body to function and maintain overall health. And this is the water, carbohydrates, protein, fats, and fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. Nutrients is 2 classes, macronutrients and micronutrients. In the left you see the macronutrients. There are the carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. They are main source of energy for the body, and we need in grams per day. And for the micronutrients, this is the essential to maintain health, and we need mostly in the milligram or microgram per day. Macronutrients are the nutritive components of food that the body needs for energy and to maintain the body structure and system. In this slide, you see the different macronutrients and also foods that contain carbohydrates and proteins at the same time, such as lentils, beans, and peas. You also see foods that contain proteins and lipids, such as fatty fish, eggs, and cheese. The best source of carbohydrates, you see this, and it is very important to limit these carbs that is in this picture. It is not absolutely necessary to deprive yourself of pleasure of eating sweet desserts, but it should be not every day. The best source of proteins it's the lentils, beans, the soy products, the nuts, seeds, whole grains, and animal products. And it is good to avoid the processed meats, how bacon, hot dog, lunch meats, and other. The best source of fat, it is the vegetable oils, fatty fish, avocado, flax seeds, chia seeds, olives, nuts, seeds, nuts, seeds, butters, and the other, and avoid this fat that you see in the picture. The micronutrients or vitamin and mineral are vital to healthy development, disease prevention, and well-being. They are needed by the body in very small amounts. However, their impact on a body's health are critical, and deficiency in any of them can cause severe and even life-threatening conditions. They perform a range of functions, including enabling the body to produce enzymes, hormones, and other substances needed to normal growth and development. With the exception of vitamin D, micronutrients are not produced in the body and must be derived from the diet. This is why it is essential to eat a variety of foods. You can see the different vitamins and minerals and in which food you can find them. Water and hydration are very important for a gymnast body. Despite training indoors, gymnasts need to maintain good hydration levels during training to prevent dehydration that can negatively impact performance. Well-timed use of sports drinks may be beneficial during long or hot sessions, as they provide fluids and carbohydrates for the active muscles along with electrolytes for hydration. A general rule for training is to consume a minimum 2 cups of fluids 2 to 3 hours before training, 1 cup minimum 30 minutes before training, 1 cup for every 15 minutes of exercise, and at least 4 cups for every kilogram lost during training. What does an ideal diet for a gymnast look like? This is a high in carbohydrates, moderate in protein, low in fats, rich in vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. The amount in types of these nutrients will vary by energy needs, training schedule, and whether the athlete's goal is weight or muscles gain, weight or body fat loss, or simply weight maintenance and muscles recovery. Here we see the healthy eating plate it contains the healthy oils, the vegetable, the whole grains, the healthy protein, and the fruits. And of course the water too. The meal frequency. In general, more frequent small meals or snacks will provide a more steady energy source that can enhance training performance, recovery, and both weight loss or weight gain goals. It is best to have 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 2 snacks, one between breakfast and lunch, and one between lunch and dinner. Eating late at night, it is not recommended. Snacks can be a good way of fueling the body in between meals and training. Avoiding packaged snacks in favor of whole foods is always best. The good ideas for the snacks are whole boiled eggs, cheese and crackers, easy to make at home, ham or ham and salad sandwiches, whole fruits, yogurts, tortilla wrap with salmon, avocado salad, high protein, low sugar muesli bars, smoothies from yogurts, fruits, oats, tuna on crackers, different nuts. Junk food, processed foods, and eating out are particular challenge to gymnasts because dietary options, especially when traveling, are often limited. These types of food tend to be low in nutrient, while high in fats, free sugar, and salts. While packaged foods will often have a nutrition label, many dining establishments will not have this information available. Nonetheless, these foods should be completely restricted. Allowing yourself a treat from time to time can help avoid an unhealthy relationship to food. Over-restriction can sometimes be the cause of binge eating disorders, which can be very damaging mentally. Eating pre-training competition. Before training or competition, it is best to have a light meal that is easy to digest to avoid gastrointestinal upset from fast movements and flips. A meal low in fat and high in carbohydrates for energy is ideal. Consume it about 2 hours before warm-up, such as a piece of fruits plus 200 grams of low-fat yogurts, a bowl of breakfast cereal plus low-fat milk. During competition, how eat? Competitions often interrupt 1 or 2 main meals, and extra carbohydrate intake is essential for replenishing stores. Yogurt, fruit bars, nuts, and fruit are ideal snacks for between routine to maintain energy levels and mental stamina. A sport drink and replenishing carbohydrates and fluid at the same time. Avoid high-fat food as these are low to digest. Food and fluids during competition need to be easy to consume as nerves can be difficult to handle during competitions. Gymnasts should pack foods that they like and that is well in the stomach, like jam sandwiches or canned fruit. Be prepared, don't rely on what's available in the venue. meat pies and sausages raw are not the best fueling option. Eat post-training or post-competition. A recovery meal is eating immediately after cooling down. This should be taken into consideration when planning the daily meals. For example, fruit smoothie with protein bar, yogurt, oatmeal with yogurt and berries, cottage cheese and sweet fruits, protein shake and banana, sport drinks and raisin bread are all suitable recovery snacks that are easy to carry around. It is also important to include a lean protein source in recovery for muscles tissue repair and growth. After competing, a high carbohydrate snacks should be followed by a more substantial meal containing carbohydrates and protein. It is also a good time to encourage plenty of food. Weight management. It is term used for both healthy weight loss and weight gain. Gymnastics includes 7 disciplines and each has its own challenges and problems with weight management. Some athletes require building of body mass, muscles and power, while others need strength and flexibility on a small frame. Daily or frequent weight measurement is not a reliable or accurate way to follow the athlete's energy balance or fitness. It is an especially stressful activity for the athletes and can encourage unhealthy eating behaviors and food management. Serious skin fold measurements for body fat and measurements of muscle strength and endurance are the best way to monitoring weight and strength changes and should be done by a medical professional. The weight management plan should be developed with the guidance of sports nutritionist of dietitian with assistance for the athletes from the athletes, parents, doctor and coach. How is relationship to food and body image? Low body fat levels are advantageous in gymnastics for flexibility, for agility, for dynamic power and technical. However, excessive dieting can lead to health and performance issues as well as eating disorders. It is important to cultivate a positive body image in yourself and to seek the guidance of a sport dietitian of support and advice. It is vital to be mindful with the relationship you have with food and not to be obsessed or underrate and over-restrict yourself. Care should be taken to encourage a wide range of foods so that all nutrients needs are met. Engaging the support of an accredited sports dietitian can be helpful for preventing and managing disordered eating behaviors. Take-home message. Focus on eating whole foods and listen to your body. Don't deny yourself cravings from time to time. Too much restriction is not good. Be organized. If traveling, strength from school to training, pack snacks and water bottles to have before, during and after training. There is not good and bad food. There is less nutritional and more nutritional foods. Abundance of whole foods and moderation of less healthy foods is the key. If you experience disordered eating troughs, get professional help, speak to your health team. And I most recommend you to have a varied diet, and this is the healthy food. I wish you an excellent performance in the competition and of course excellent health to each of you. Thank you for your attention.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Sirakova, very much. It's indeed very important. So we come to the end of our presentation or webinar today. But first, I would like to thank the FIG staff who are with us on a Sunday, taking off from their holiday and being in the office. Thank you to Eunice Lebre, Safeguarding Officer, and Gerald, the IT department technician, video technician. So thank you so much for your hard work with us today. But before I end our webinar today, I would like to say thank you to you, to the coaches, and also to the judges registered. I could see some names of the judges because you also took time on a Sunday, your holiday, summertime, to get more education and to learn something beneficial for all of us. So thank you so much. I wish you all the success in Valencia. And thank you to Donna and all her team for those presentations, and see you soon. Bye-bye.